Earthship Ark, man's greatest and final achievement, out of control, drifting through deep space over 800 years into the far future. Its passengers, descendants of the last survivors of the dead planet Earth, locked in separate worlds, their destination long forgotten, heading for destruction unless 3 young people can save the Starlost.
On this episode of Old Joe's Reminiscence, when producers cause Harlan Ellison's Phoenix Without Ashes to go up in smoke, he flips them the bird. Details coming up. It's the 50th anniversary of the premiere of The Starlost, a sci-fi show that first aired on Canadian television on September 22, 1973. It would also air on Westinghouse and NBC-owned and operated stations here in the United States. It was sometimes presented under the title The Ark in the United States, and that's what it was called when I watched the show on KDKA TV, the Group W Westinghouse station here in Pittsburgh. It was a difficult show to follow back in 1973 because it would often be preempted by a Pirates baseball game that was also contracted to run on KDKA. The Buccos were a big deal back then, finishing the 1973 season at only 2.5 games out of first place in the National League East. Many of you will be aware of a writer's strike that's going on right now and affecting the launch of the 2023 fall television season. Well, it was much the same in 1973. In fact, it was one of the biggest hurdles affecting production of The Starlost. Originally, Harlan Ellison was tapped to create a science fiction series idea to be pitched to the BBC in London. That producer making the request wanted The Fugitive in Space. When the BBC didn't bite on Harlan's idea, that producer decided to pitch it to CTV in Canada, where it sold. Now, all they needed was a Bible, an outline of the series premise, details about the characters and the ship, etc., for the writers to use for reference. Well, unfortunately, Harlan Ellison was a proud member of the Writers Guild, and he refused to write during the strike. And he fought back when the show's producers tried to hire scab writers. Because it was an all-Canadian production, the Canadian Union eventually gave them permission for the show to go into production. So, Harlan went to Canada to write the Bible and the first episode. As had previously happened with Star Trek, Harlan was upset that his scripts were being heavily rewritten. And they changed the title of his first episode from Phoenix Without Ashes to Voyage of Discovery. Harlan pulled himself out of the production of The Starlost. He didn't want to be associated with what the show was ultimately becoming, so he forced them to use his pseudonym, Cordwainer Bird, as in flipping the. The production also suffered from several other problems, such as Douglas Trumbull's Magicam special effects process that didn't really work properly, so they had to rely more on practical effects like blue screen. Much of the writing is considered to be subpar also, and it's not surprising since they were only paying their Canadian writers a fraction of the going rate at that time. But they did produce a show. 18 episodes were written, but only 16 were filmed. Or, should I say, videotaped. Yes, it was cheap and superficial, panned by all the critics, and remembered by boomers like me. I was 14 years old when I first saw Earthship Ark hovering on my 12-inch black and white television screen. I tried looking for it online years ago, but I had difficulty finding the show that I remembered as The Ark. It wasn't even listed on the Internet Movie Database, where most movies and TV shows are listed. About 10 years ago, I did locate it under its Canadian moniker, and that led to discovering a Roku channel devoted entirely to the Starlost. I seemed to remember that the episodes weren't as interesting as most sci-fi shows, but I wanted to take a second look. I only watched a few episodes before losing interest. But here, we're taking another look for its 50th anniversary. Let's climb aboard the Ark and join the Starlost. One of the things I do remember is the clipped speech pattern of the voiceover announcer.
Earthship Ark, man's greatest and final achievement, out of control, drifting through deep space.
If the Ark looks similar to the ships in the 1972 film Silent Running, that's probably because Douglas Trumbull worked on both projects. The show opens with our three main characters on the bridge of the Ark. In an interview, Harlan Ellison said he couldn't believe it when he was told they were building the bridge set. They weren't supposed to even reach the bridge until the final episode. Between building that bridge and hiring a movie actor to play the lead, they immediately blew a good portion of the show's budget. My honest initial thought upon re-watching that bridge scene? God, this is boring.
We may be the first living beings here in 400 years.
Garth suggests that they go back.
We should go back, Devon. Never.
We do go back to Cypress Corners, where their journey began.
This is our world. Cypress Corners. Good land. All our necessaries met, with the life-supporting systems in an endless stream.
I think we're to believe that this is an Amish or a Mennonite community, but there are inconsistencies with that thought. If they don't know that they're on a spaceship, why don't they live in traditional homes instead of these prefab panels? And what's with that random pole with its flashing light? Some have suggested that they're just a Midwestern populace that have fallen under the rule of a religious zealot's cult over the centuries. Old Jeremiah is played by veteran actor Sterling Hayden, who ran away to sea at the age of 17 and who claimed that he only acted to pay for his sailing vessels. Well, he must have had a lot of those because he was quite successful as an actor. Devon has just returned from being banished to the hills. There are hills on a biosphere? That reminds me of the Star Trek episode, "For the world is hollow and I have touched the sky." Devon dares to question the creator. Devon is played by Keir Dullea, who you may remember from 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Keir Dullea was born in Cleveland, Ohio on May 3, 1936. Starting in summer stock, he made his way to New York City's theaters. He hit the television screen in 1960 and that led to film appearances. The highlight of Keir Dullea's career came in 1968 when director Stanley Kubrick asked him to star as Dr. David Bowman in his epic science fiction film, 2001, A Space Odyssey. Keir reprised the role in 1984 in the follow-up, 2010, The Year We Make Contact.
It seems natural that there would be a computer choosing mates based upon their DNA and other traits to keep the population viable over the years.
I seek again the mating of Rachel and Garth. Is there genetic relevance for consideration of Devon as mate with Rachel? Answer. New factor coded. Devon unsuitable. Balance maintained. Answer, no mating. Gene pool orders original mating selection without variance.
Devon is in love with Rachel, but Rachel is betrothed to another. Rachel is played by Gay Rowan.
Gay Rowan was born on May 1, 1948 in Toronto. She was inspired to become an actress after seeing a stage production when she was 9 years old. She did some stage, film, and television acting before retiring to start her own business in San Diego.
For his continued blasphemy, Devon is to be banished. But he's in a biosphere, so where's he gonna go? Devon visits a blacksmith shop where he confronts the man who is to marry Rachel. Garth is played by Robin Ward.
Robin Ward was born on April 10, 1944 in Canada. He started his television acting career in 1967 and was active in film and TV until 2015. In between gigs, he worked as a TV weatherman on CFTO TV in Toronto in the late 80s and early 90s.
The part of Garth was originally written with Walter Koenig in mind. With the examples of advanced metallurgy we've seen in the biosphere, I'm surprised that they have need for a blacksmith. Maybe they've forgotten the advanced methods and they've had to revert. I'm not sure. This scene gives me an idea of what Harlan Ellison meant when he said Keir Dullea has no charisma. He just stands there and he delivers the lines.
You love her?
He should be moving his arms and emoting when talking to Garth about wanting to steal his woman from him. Garth, on the other hand, tries his best to make that baby face look as if he wants to hammer Devon's face in.
Just stay away from her, that's all.
Devon goes to sit by a sealed-off cave marked with the words, "Beyond is Death." He speaks with a man known as Old Abraham, played by Canadian Gilly Fenwick, who had an acting career that spanned 4 decades. I found the music in this scene to be too loud compared to the dialogue. It was rather annoying, but I wasn't interested enough to go back and listen to what they were saying. Rachel comes to see Devon. He begs her. No, with so little emotion, it's more like he tells her not to marry Garth.
You will not marry Garth.
Later, Devon is roaming around on the blue screen when he hears old Jeremiah programming responses into the Creator.
Erase previous readout. Playback following message beginning with words, quote, my wishes, unquote. Readout convert to machine voice, quote. My wishes have been spurned by the undevout Devon. His presence among the faithful is a blight and a danger. He must be driven from the lands I have given you into the hills. This is on the order of the Creator.
So, were they actually screening DNA for compatibility, or was old Jerry just making decisions on his own? Devon goes to Rachel's parents and says, repeatedly, that there's no law that says they cannot marry.
We can marry. There is no law that says we cannot.
He explains about Jeremiah recording his voice as the Creator's, and he produces a microcassette.
Look. He puts this into the voice machine.
No, better make that a mini cassette now that I see those holes in the corners. Rachel's parents send Devon packing. The whole village seems to be after Devon. They're all running around in front of a blue screen carrying torches in a scene that reminds me of Land of the Lost. You know, that Saturday morning show? The next time someone makes a derogatory remark about the cheap planet sets on Star Trek, pow! Right in the kisser. Devon goes back to old Abraham. Why he didn't run back into the hills, I'll never know. According to Harlan Ellison, his version of the story had Devon accidentally falling through the portal and out of the dome. Here, old Abraham just happens to have a portal key that he uses to open the thing.
Found 2 of these keys long ago. I never had the courage to go inside. Now I offer you that choice.
Devon finds himself in a corridor full of electronics, and he's almost overwhelmed. With care, it's hard to tell. Did I say that previous scene reminded me of something out of Land of the Lost? Well, get a load of this. In Act 2, old Jeremiah and his followers are standing at the portal that Devon had passed through. He tells them that the Creator has passed final judgment on Devon for his wickedness. Meanwhile, Devon is floating down a corridor of the Ark. He lands unceremoniously on a green-cushioned landing pad. He's at a sphere projector room. How lucky. I'm trying to think if I'd know enough to stand on that mat in front of a door, expecting it to open, assuming I'm from a society as backwards as the one Devon had come from. Well, the room he enters has a display of giant numbers that change at random on a rectangular panel on the wall. Oddly, these numbers are all standing on their sides. Why? Devon accidentally activates something that has been stuck in my mind for 50 years. And so much more than any other aspect of the show.
Can I be of assistance?
The computer image and the voice is that of Canadian actor William Osler, who looks much older than his 40 years in 1973. The computer answers Devon's first question, "Who are you?"
I'm Mu Lambda 165, automatically programmed for general information. Can I help you?
But enough time goes by for an answer after his second question, and hearing none, he asks a series of questions until he mentions the tunnel. Then the computer fires off.
Description of the bounce tube. From which biosphere are you?
It has a bit of an attitude. When Devon doesn't know what a biosphere is, it blurts out, "Environment," sounding as if it's exasperated by his ignorance. It has Devon insert a data cylinder so we can hear some exposition about the ship and its mission.
Life for us began on a cold body in the Milky Way, approximately 8,000 miles in diameter. Its programmed destination, to seek out and find a solar system of a Class G star.
When Devon finally does a slow facepalm, I know how he feels. He asks, "What is deep space?" The computer tells Devon how long they've been traveling, and then it volunteers some information about an accident. Okay, that's odd, but it's necessary information. They're on a collision course with a solar star, as opposed to a Hollywood star, I guess. What other type of star would it be? They could have said white dwarf star, red giant star, a neutron star, but no, it's a solar star. Anyway, the accident that set them on this course happened more than 400 years ago. In Act 3, Devon asks what happened. This questioning triggers an automatic signal to the Central Information Center. But that's short-circuited. Inquiries are transferred to the bridge, but communication with the bridge is cut off. The computer guy says,
Inform bridge. Inform bridge.
Where is the bridge?
Inform bridge.
"Inform bridge," but Devon doesn't know where the bridge is. He bounces back to Cypress Corners, and he sticks the landing. He interrupts his own funeral. Old Jeremiah plays the verdict that he'd pre-recorded, and Devon is arrested. He's to be stoned, and Rachel is to cast the first stone. How lucky! Unless I missed it, I don't think they explained why they're waiting to stone him, but Rachel goes and visits Devon at his holding cell. Rachel and Devon proclaim their love for each other with about as much emotion as a cashier reading the amount due from a checkout screen. Devon asks Rachel to join him if he's able to get away. Then her father comes to take Rachel home.
Spiteful daughter, come away from here. Do not hold us up to public contempt.
Father, I love him. Let me stay.
And you may cast the first stone.
He also tells her that she's to throw the first stone. She must feel honored. Next, Garth shows up to pry the bars up, allowing Devon to escape.
Go where you want to, and do not tell me where. Just leave Rachel and me alone. Well, go.
Little does Garth know that Rachel has promised to go with Devon. I kind of feel sorry for the poor schmuck. Garth is back at his blacksmith shop when word gets out about Devon's escape. And when he hears that Devon has taken Rachel with him, Garth grabs his crossbow and he heads out. In Act 4, the men are in front of a blue screen with their torches again. They go to the portal where old Abraham has a passkey to the portal. He opens it and gives the key to Garth. Garth vows to return with Rachel. Now it's Garth's turn to step on the bouncy pad. But first, we see Devon and Rachel's landing. Looks as if they're about to get jiggy right there on the landing pad when Devon decides to continue on to the next stop. They make a stand-up landing this time, arriving at the bridge. For not knowing how to get to the bridge, that took no time at all. They head for the entrance to the bridge. Can it be that easy?
Approaching bridge. Stop for security, traffic check. Security check. Pass between detectors, please.
It looks rather shocking, but they make it through okay. Then they step on the pad and open the door to the bridge. Wow, it really is that easy. Then Garth shows up. He accuses Devon of taking Rachel against her will. Oh, Garth, you blind fool. Rachel convinces him that she's come of her own volition, and they tell him to go back.
I'm staying with Devon.
We have to find a place called the Bridge. I'm sorry. Go back if you wish. But not with Rachel.
I think the original idea was for Garth to keep chasing after them, but that was changed in some of the rewrites.
No. I will stay.
He has too much pride to go back without her, so he decides to come with them.
Security check. Pass between detectors, please.
Wait, he's not going to be able to take that crossbow through the security scan, is he? Yeah, some security scan that is. I'd expected Garth to be knocked back on his arse or something, but he comes waltzing through easy peasy lemon squeezy. The three explore the bridge with debris all over. And they discover the skeletal remains of a crew member who was apparently on duty there when the accident occurred more than 400 years ago.
The accident.
They are in awe of the view of the ship and space from the bridge. And we've come full circle to the point where we started the episode.
We may be the first living beings here in 400 years. We should go back, Devon. Never.
Devon, what is it?
I don't know. A star?
First, I have to say happy 50th anniversary. I may have made a lot of remarks about how bad this show was, and it deserves most, if not all of them. It's so bad that the man who created the idea had his name removed from the project. But if you look really hard, and I mean real hard, you realize just how bad this show was. How on earth did I watch this every week? Can I sit through them all again? We may see, or we may not. I'm not sure if I can. Like, comment, and subscribe below, and I'll see if I can stand to continue reviewing the Starlost.
Be with us each week at this time on the giant Earthship Ark, 800 years into the far future, for the adventures of three young people, Devon, Rachel, and Garth, as they search through the strange and mysterious worlds of the space ark biospheres for something or someone who can help them save the Starlost.